You can tell when it happens because it feels almost embarrassing. A book you should want to read is sitting right there, and nothing in you reaches for it. The cover might even be beautiful, the topic might even be you, but your mind just slides past it, like your system won't let you take another bite. And then, the guilt shows up. Because somewhere early on, you learned the deal. Books equal knowledge. Knowledge equals intelligence. And intelligence equals safety, respect, maybe even love. So, if you don't read, what does that say about you? But here's the part nobody says out loud. You've watched people read a lot, and somehow become smaller. Not in vocabulary, not in trivia, smaller in spirit. They start living like they're auditioning for an invisible panel of experts. Their conversations turn into footnotes. Their opinions get replaced by citations. When something real happens, grief, desire, jealousy, awe, they translate it into concepts before they actually feel it. They talk about life more than they touch it. And you notice that contradiction early. You expected books to widen people. You expected them to soften certainty, to open the mind, to make someone more spacious. But you saw the opposite in some people, a kind of mental stiffness, a dependence on the already said, a habit of borrowing a conclusion instead of earning one. So your relationship with reading got complicated, because you're not against books. You're against what happens when the book becomes a substitute for the soul, when knowledge becomes a shield, when being informed becomes a way of never being exposed. And, if you're honest, you've never been able to read just for the badge, not for approval, not for being tagged as smart, not for playing the part of the intellectual one. There's something in you that refuses a fake appetite. Your inner world is not empty space waiting to be filled with other people's sentences. It's already alive in there. It's textured. It's symbolic. It's a place where one memory can echo for years, where a single conversation can turn into a whole inner movie, where a dream can change your mood for a full day. Some people read to escape their inner world. You might avoid reading because you can't escape it. Your mind doesn't feel like a blank page. It feels like a landscape. And when a book tries to lead you somewhere, you're measuring it against a deeper compass. Is this true in me? Does this match what my life has taught me? Does this actually help me become more whole? Or does it just make me sound convincing? That's not arrogance. That is instinct. From a Jungian lens, this is what happens when a person confuses the persona with the self. The persona is the social mask, the educated one, the rational one, the reader, the one who has sources and references. It's useful, and it helps you function in the world. But it becomes dangerous when it starts running the whole psyche. Then reading stops being nourishment and turns into upkeep for an image. You don't read to meet life. You read to maintain a role. And when that role gets inflated, the mind can start living like a king. Jung called this kind of one-sidedness a problem of balance. If thinking becomes dominant, feeling gets pushed into the basement. Not erased, just hidden. It waits in the background as moods, restlessness, cynicism, sudden boredom, irritability, even a sense that everything is meaningless. That boredom isn't a lack of intelligence. It can be the neglected parts of you refusing to be ignored anymore. Because the psyche is always aiming for wholeness. If you overfeed the head, the soul will find its own way to get your attention. Sometimes it does it through dreams, sometimes through relationships, and sometimes through a simple, blunt reaction. I'm done consuming other people's frameworks. I need contact with my own life. That's why the boredom hits differently for you. It's not, I can't focus. It's, I refuse to consume words that disconnect me from my own inner truth. Maybe you've met that version of intelligence, clean, controlled, always explaining, never really touched, and something in you rejected it, because your world is rich inside, not fantasy rich, real rich, symbol rich, dream rich, memory rich, feeling rich. Your inner life isn't a hallway, it's a landscape. When you close your eyes, there's movement, patterns, meaning. You sense things before you can name them. You pick up on what isn't said. You notice the mood in a room like it has temperature. So reading can feel strange for you when it becomes performance. When it's done for approval, status, or the comfort of being seen as smart. Your system doesn't want more information. It wants integration. And here's the part that can sting. You're not rejecting books. You're rejecting what books have been used for. A lot of intelligent people stop reading when they realize they've been using it as a substitute for their own authority. They've been gathering maps instead of walking land. They've been collecting other people's courage instead of facing their own fear. They've been building a life made of concepts, then wondering why nothing tastes real. So, if you've pulled away from books, it may be your psyche protecting something valuable, your direct contact with life. And now let me ask you something. When did reading start to feel like pressure instead of pleasure? Was it school? Was it a certain type of person who made books feel like a competition? Or was it the moment you realized you could know everything and still feel empty? Because this is the conflict point. You can respect knowledge and still refuse to let it replace your experience. You can love ideas and still choose your own inner truth over someone else's conclusion. At some point, you stop trusting the more is better approach. More pages, more authors, more ideas. Because you've watched what happens when the mind becomes a warehouse. It starts confusing storage with wisdom. And here's the subtle part. The more intelligent you are, the easier it is to build a beautiful prison out of concepts. You can explain your feelings instead of feeling them. You can interpret your childhood instead of grieving it. You can analyze your relationships instead of risking honesty inside them. And reading becomes the perfect fuel for that pattern, because books give you endless language for everything except direct contact. In Jungian terms, this is where the inner life starts demanding individuation. Not as a goal on a vision board, more like a pressure in the psyche that says, stop outsourcing your meaning. Individuation is the movement toward becoming a whole person. And wholeness always includes what your smart identity tried to leave out. The irrational, the tender, the contradictory, the instincts, the body, the parts that don't sound impressive at dinner. So when books stop interesting you, it can be because something deeper is waking up. The part of you that wants lived truth, not borrowed truth. This is why some readers suddenly become allergic to certainty. They can feel when a book is selling a worldview instead of expanding perception. They can feel when a writer is giving conclusions without transformation, and their system rejects it, not because they're arrogant, but because they're sensitive to inner falseness. You might also notice your taste changing. You don't want books that teach you how to think. You want books that help you see. You don't want someone else's answers. You want better questions. You don't want information that makes you feel superior. You want insight that makes you more honest. And here's a line that matters. The psyche doesn't grow in straight lines. It grows in cycles. There are seasons where you read like you're gathering firewood, and then there are seasons where you need to burn it, to sit with what you already know, to let it descend from your head into your choices, your relationships, and your daily reactions. So maybe you're in the integration season. And if you are, it's normal to feel restless with books that feel safe. It's normal to crave something raw. Direct experience, solitude, art, therapy, nature, or conversations that don't end in a neat point. The day books stopped calling you might have been the day your inner life stopped cooperating with being managed, because there's a difference between learning and becoming. Learning can stack. Becoming rearranges you. When you're wired for depth, you don't just want information. You want contact. You want something that reaches the part of you that has no resume. The part that speaks in symbols, cravings, images, sudden knowing. And when that part is ignored for long enough, it starts resisting anything that feels like another layer of mental control. This is where Jung's psychology gets very practical. The psyche doesn't tolerate one-sided living forever. If you build your identity around being the thinker, the reader, the one who understands, then everything you pushed away starts gathering strength in the background. Feeling, instinct, sensuality, grief, desire, faith, rage, softness. Not as an enemy, more like an overdue messenger. And then something funny happens. Books that once felt exciting start feeling like someone else's life, coaching you from a distance. Your soul is tired of being talked at. It wants dialogue. A lot of people don't realize this. Your unconscious is creative. It's not only a storage room of old memories. It produces guidance, but in its own language. Dreams, repeating themes, the same kind of partner, the same kind of conflict, the same inner question, wearing different outfits. If you're not listening there, reading can start to feel hollow, like eating while your body is asking for water. So the shift isn't, I don't like books. The shift is, I can't pretend that concepts are the same as truth anymore. Here's a way to test it. Notice what kind of books still pull you. Not what you think you should read, but what your attention actually respects. Many people in this phase feel drawn to memoir, myth, depth, psychology, spiritual texts, art, anything that admits mystery instead of sterilizing it. Your mind wants ideas that leave room for the unknown, because the unknown is where you're growing. And if you do pick up a book now, try this. Don't read to agree. Read to meet yourself. Let a sentence trigger a memory. Let a chapter expose a pattern. Let a concept challenge the way you love, the way you work, the way you avoid, or the way you stay safe. Write back to the author in your own words. Argue. Confess. Apply one insight in real